Welcome to the podcast. Today we're going to talk about digital transformation. Thanks for joining the podcast. As always, I am your host, Shawn. Today we have a resident technical consultant, Ryan Fries, and he's going to help us talk about a very hot topic that a lot of people are discussing in the tech world that gets a lot of buzz, and help us kind of understand what it is and also what we can be looking out for. It's digital transformation. Ryan, thank you so much for being here. What can you tell us about digital transformation? It's a big buzzword that's happening in the industry right now, isn't it?
Yeah. Thanks for having me. And I think the word buzzword is very appropriate here. It's really an industry term more than anything. I wouldn't say it's necessarily new. Most customers, partners I've spoken to and communicated with know what digital transformation is from a high level. But really, it's about using technology to transform the customer experience, to transform the operations of a business and improve the overall business model for that organization. And the way I always like to explain digital transformation is just to use a use case that most of us are familiar with, hopefully. If you've ever really traveled before, you probably have downloaded an app for your airline, right? So if you've traveled Delta, American, there's an application on your phone. And the reason we download this app isn't because we want to add extra storage to our phone, right? It's because it provides a value to us. Now we can actually check in online right from our mobile device. We can bring up that boarding pass so you never actually have to go to the kiosk when you go to the airport. And not only that, if you do end up checking in a bag, every single piece of information is going to be at your fingerprints. When they load your bag onto the airplane, you're going to receive a notification that your bag was loaded onto the airplane. If your flight, for whatever reason, gets canceled or delayed, which is a nightmare when it comes to traveling, well, now you can actually transfer and select different options for your flight right through your mobile app. So rather than waiting potentially an hour in line for that front desk agent to help you, you can see other flights available to make it to your final destination and actually change your flight on the fly. So it's all about making the customer experience. And when I say the customer experience, most of you are partners listening to this. So it's going to be your customer's customer experience and making that better by adopting technology in a more rapid manner and just utilizing it better.
That's a great point. And I like that you bring up the app. Think about it. It's making your life easier. Think about all of the behind the scenes work that happens to choreograph everything that happens at an airport. And now it's all being presented into an app, and it probably, helps with the baggage, helps with like changing of flights, helps keep you up to date. So it's probably streamlining their back end and making their experience and their work experience better. So with the push for digital transformation, what type of technologies or what type of vendors are actually utilizing that and making that push to streamline everything, like you said?
Yeah, I think it's across the board, right? So if you look at all the major vendors out there, they're utilizing technology to transform either the employee experience, either the way data is collected and utilized. So I'd say most vendors out there are making some type of digital transformation push, but it's especially true for Citrix when we talk about Citrix and where they're going with their intelligent workspace experience, where they're leveraging things like machine learning, artificial intelligence to really just improve a day-to-day's experience for our employees. Because the fact of the matter is today, as the newer generations coming into the workforce, we have higher expectations, myself included. I want to be able to work wherever I want. I want to be able to use my own devices. I want to have the same resources that I have on a day-to-day basis as I do within my company's infrastructure. Otherwise, I'm going to find a workaround to do that. And that's not necessarily good for my company because now they have no control over what I'm doing.
Right. So the customer here is kind of driving that, or the employees kind of driving that need to say, hey, I understand technology. I understand the great capable things it's doing. to make me a better employee or to make the job a little bit smoother, let's start incorporating these types of solutions into like our workplace subcategory that we can maybe talk about. And you already mentioned Citrix as a great vendor for digital transformation, but to bring your own device. What does Citrix have that can really help with that type of, hey, I want to bring my brand new top end laptop to the office?
Yeah, I mean, this has been the Citrix motto for years, right? Work from anywhere on any device in any location.
Yep.
So, I mean, Citrix is, again, they've been doing digital transformation one way or another. It just wasn't an industry-wide term like it is today.
Right. So that buzz hasn't started yet, but they were doing it and easy to link Citrix to this, right?
Exactly. So they've already been empowering users to bring their own device. I mean, I came from Citrix. I used to work there, and I loved their BYOD personally because I was able to get exactly what device I wanted to utilize and access all the resources I needed on demand. But what also Citrix does now is they have a way of managing the device, not just from the application level, but from the device level as well. So with their endpoint management solution, they can actually do asset inventory. They can see what devices are in their environment. They could wipe those. They can track those if they need to. And really, they just have higher control of those on an as-needed basis. So while I might personally not want that on my personal device, if it's a BYOD policy and they're going to give me thousands of dollars to buy my own device, yeah, I'll probably agree to let them install something on my device because I'm getting one for free, right?
Absolutely. You brought up one good point. You said something along the lines that, employees are going to find a workaround, right? I can think of one that I do all the time. It's hard sometimes to send files through an email that are too large. So I set up an account with one of the main file sharing type applications out there. And I started being able to send large audio files to other people in the workspace. It gets the job done, but I am kind of circumventing, what was probably in place or what should be in place for, managing data. I can see scenarios maybe where that would be sensitive information or something like that. And that workaround can be a little bit detrimental, to the, it's good for workflow, but detrimental to the environment.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many out there. I'd say that's probably the number one problem we see within organizations. I mean, I did it at my last company where even with my customers, when I was on projects where I was implementing the solution, I didn't have a solution within my organization to easily send them content. So what I do, I went to my own personal Google Drive. I used Dropbox, and really, it's a fine line of balancing user experience and security within the organization. And if I don't have the tools to give my customers a good user experience, well, I'm going to find that workaround that may not be in line with my company's security policies. So if you leverage a solution such as there's a lot out there, there's Box, there's Citrix Files, aka ShareFile. I now have these tools necessary to be able to share my content in a secure manner, where I can actually put security controls when I'm sending out content, such as requiring them to enter their name and their email address, so I'm notified when they download that file. Maybe after they download that initial file, let's kill the link entirely. And speaking of links, rather than sending a large 2 gig attachment over the line, let's send that over as a link and they can download that on demand. So now I'm freeing up network resources at my organization. So there's a ton of capabilities out there, and users are smarter than you think. If you don't give them the tools, they're going to find a workaround. It's a matter of fact.
That's a perfect segue. And really what the concept or buzzword of digital transformation is right? Is empowering and letting them, accomplish the tasks that they want and be more effective and streamlined. So what are you doing in the field that helps, kind of teach people about this idea of how to utilize the tools that are around you and mobilize your workforce and get everything up and running? What are you seeing? What are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just about having a conversation. I always tell partners I work with that you really just have to identify with your customers what they're looking to accomplish in 2019, in 2020. There's a lot of resources out there where you can find that information, such as company briefings. You could go to social media and check on LinkedIn. And typically, when you're talking to somebody at the C level, which has this vision of where they want to go, they're looking at things such as improve my company's security stance, improve my employees' productivity, improve my customers' productivity, improve their experience. And it's interesting because most organizations out there know that digital transformation is crucial to their organization, but most haven't finished some type of initiative today. They're looking for that partner to come in and provide guidance, provide assistance to move towards the right direction, because there's just so much out there. And if I was a CIO or a CTO, it's hard to keep track.
Right. So I feel like it's coming from a need within the company, either from like a business standpoint or from a user standpoint. And if you're not accomplishing those tasks, or making sure that you're doing everything possible to make the experience or the business run properly, your competition is right. Someone out there is doing this, and they're going to have the upper hand. So it's really sort of like this buzzword idea, but it's also a practice, and you have to have the conversations, understand the solutions that need to be solved. The problems that need to be solved for. And then come up with a plan, because if not, your competition will do it and you're going to be left behind.
Yeah, I always joke around and say, in my previous life, I actually traveled to one of the biggest financial firms, and they brought us in just because they were losing customers. And funnily enough, the reason they were losing customers is because they didn't have a capability that one of their big competitors had, which was simply being able to use your fingerprint to log onto your app on your phone. So little technology feats such as that are why a customer will choose one organization over the others. In this case, it was banking, to be their primary provider. And if you look at really just today in general, digital startups, they're aggressive. They can easily overtake some of these big guys. I mean, we've seen it with VRBO, how they interrupted the hotel space. We see Uber with the rideshare space. I mean, these technology giants that are giants now, they were startups just 10 years ago. And it's all about because they're able to adopt this technology that's out there that was never out there before.
That's a great point. It really kind of brings up to the forefront that it's no longer an afterthought, right? Hey, something as simple as a fingerprint scanner on an app that you didn't have is something that people want or are looking for. And you can't let those sort of innovations or things that other people may have rest like you could probably before. Even maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, what wasn't out on everyone's radar. Now it's in the industry, it has a name, and also people are really taking notice of it. Like, hey, if we're not on our game in the technology space, we could fall behind. So that's a great point. It's funny how trends and everything like that work and how simple something could be. But if you aren't like up to date or understanding some of like the problems and getting the correct feedback from either employees or end users, you may have missed the boat proverbially. And not to really get down the rabbit hole of how damaging that could be, but it's definitely something that you want to solve for, and digital transformation is there. And like you said, Citrix brings a lot of those solutions in as well.
Yeah, and I think that's where Ingram Micro can really help, just because we do work with all these major technology providers. And not only that, we work with a huge network of partners, right? So a vendor specific solution might not be the perfect fit for your customer or your customer's customer, because there's so much more that goes into a solution. We might need help from a DevOps team. We might need help from configuring APIs and leveraging those APIs from some other technologies out there. And we have partnerships with a lot of our partners out there that can provide assistance in those buckets as well, to help develop a customized application for your customer's customer.
That's a great point. The resources that are available that we have in roles like yourself, I kind of see you as if I was driving a race car or something like that, my spotter. You're seeing the blind spots in consulting and telling me where to go. Just as you are with the customers out there, letting them know, hey, did you ever think that this could be a problem? Sometimes you can't even see what you can't see because it is in your blind spot. You didn't realize that was something you were falling behind on. And that's kind of what the role that you bring and what Ingram Micro can also do with all of the resources that we have. So I can see that like you're a driving force for digital transformation. Your role is, and really that's probably what you need, right? You need someone there to help you see that, right? You can see some of the picture, but you can't see all of it.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree wholeheartedly. I definitely am not the guy that's going to see the big picture for everything, but that's why we have such a big digital transformation team where I can leverage my peers and my colleagues and have them point me in the right direction to help all of you out there that are looking to partner with some of your customers and provide that solution that they're looking to accomplish for either their employees or their customers to drive that digital transformation initiative.
Great point. Great point. Yes, a lot of resources available. Well, that brings us up on time. Thanks, everyone, for being on this episode. Thanks for listening to the Proof of Concept podcast. And in the next episode, we're going to talk about thin clients.